Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing yet another movie review. This movie is a horror film from the UK, English language, released in the year 2022, directed by Alex Garland, and this film is called Men. So Men is about our main character, who is a female that has suffered a horrible event in her recent history that has caused such trauma that she needs to go to a secluded cottage in the English countryside for 2 weeks in order to try and get her head together and come to terms with what her life has become. But as she gets there, she realizes that there is something or someone watching her. And so as each day progresses, that sense of paranoia is becoming overwhelming. And in order to get the answers that she seeks, she's going to have to actually go into her past and confront the demons that she's been avoiding. So whether or not she can is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Men. This is a movie that I was anticipating with great curiosity, but not so much excitement. And that is because Alex Garland is a director that I'm not overly experienced with. I've only really seen Annihilation. Annihilation I thought was an overrated film, but there were elements that were actually quite good. And so that was the curiosity that was actually coming into Men, but the excitement levels, I'm not quite won over by this guy. So he's made another movie called Ex Machina that I haven't actually seen. I might be the only person in the world that hasn't seen that film yet, but I'm going to get onto that very soon. So basing it on very limited experience, I was hoping that Men would actually really win me over. So I saw the trailer and I thought, this looks very good. And what was Alex Garland going to produce in this movie? And what he produces in this movie was slight disappointment. And that's something I'll go into a little bit later, but that's not saying that this is a bad film. I thought, as far as atmosphere is concerned, this is one of the creepiest films that you will see. And the reason is because Alex Garland has used subtlety to absolute perfection. This is a very minimalistic film in that it's not trying to force feed the horror aspects. This is a film that just really sends the chill down your spine and the hairs on the back of your neck stand right up through just very limited effort. So you've got a panning shot of the beautiful English countryside, then there is an introduction of one element that completely changes the landscape. So you've gone from beauty to absolute terror in a very subtle way, and because it's coming through very naturally and very confident, I thought it's far more chilling than what you would get with a jump scare. So you've really got to be paying attention, but if you actually see the fine details of this movie, it does creep up on you. It's not trying too hard to be a creepy film, it's just got a very solid platform as far as a horror template is concerned. So this is a film that is very mysterious, and the mysterious story keeps your interest from start to finish, and there are very brief flashbacks as to what this woman's past is about. So those very brief flashbacks are not enough to derail the present day, but each flashback, when you get back to the present day, it evolves the situation. So I felt as though those flashbacks were very, very important in the evolution of the story. So as this woman is going through in a very, very limited environment and limited characters, I never felt as though it got boring because it knew exactly what it was trying to do. This is a film with very deep symbolic meaning, and so you will get a very mature sort of horror film. I thought the horror aspects, even the gory aspects, they had a very strong purpose, and that strong purpose is through that deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is something I had a little bit of an issue with that I'll go into a little bit later. But yes, it is a movie that will make you think, and thought-provoking discussion is definitely very few and far between as far as the horror genre is concerned, but it's definitely present in Men. This is a very similar experience to Darren Aronofsky's Mother with Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. That was a film that I thought was very strange, but it had a very strong purpose, and Men does have that very bizarre sort of quality about it in that I knew that there was a strong purpose to the really random goings on, and you're trying to decipher what was going on, and when you actually find out what it is, all of a sudden you are actually seeing things in a very different way. You're looking at it in a very different perspective. And so if you like that kind of thing, I definitely feel as though you're going to like Men. But if you don't like that kind of movie, you didn't enjoy Mother, chances are you're not really going to enjoy Men. The acting performances, all absolutely fantastic. They're very subtle. And so subtlety is definitely the driving point in this movie. If you're after something that is a popcorn horror film, Men is definitely not for you. But if you want something that's going to genuinely make you think and force you to use your brain, Alex Garland is going to deliver. There are some really gory scenes that I thought were quite shocking. And the good thing about being really shocking out of nowhere is that it takes you by surprise. And once you actually get an insight into the first shocking moment, you don't quite know what the next shocking moment is going to be. And so having that sense of anticipation as to what's around the corner, I thought, again, invested my interest. And so I never really felt as though this movie outstayed its welcome. And it's not an overly long film, but I never felt the length of it. And so I thought that was really, really well done. But unfortunately, it's the last quarter of this movie that I had an issue with, which is ultimately the issue I had with Mother from Darren Aronofsky, in that it's trying way too hard to be deep and meaningful. And so it's throwing a lot of things at you and you're not enjoying the current moment. And so it's going to force you to rewatch it. And anything that forces you to rewatch it is obviously a good thing. But at that specific moment, if you're watching it in a cinema, for example, you're going to be scratching your head trying to decipher what's going on. And then the rest of the movie is not going to wait for you to actually figure out the answer. So you always feel as though you're one step behind. And so what is this scene about? What was that scene about? What the hell is going on here? So you're constantly asking questions in the last quarter of this movie when it really gets crazy. I kind of felt as though I was being left behind. And so it was trying way too hard. I thought the creepiness of the environment and the atmosphere and the overall story and the mystery of what this woman was facing, I thought that was enough. But then right at the end, all of a sudden it just goes into overdrive, into hitting you with really deep concepts and symbolism and stuff from the Bible and stuff between men and women. I thought, okay, that's interesting. I like movies that actually make you think, but I thought the process of thinking was way too rapid towards the finish line. And so that was the issue I had with Mother, and that's the issue I ultimately have with Men, in that it's not going to be a film for the average viewer. But for me, I really like the first 3 quarters, but I just thought as though the ending was just a little bit hitting you over the head a little bit too hard. And so that's ultimately the issue I had with Men. But having said that, it's still a very, very interesting movie. As far as creepiness and suspense is concerned and curiosity, it is absolutely fantastic. So for that, I would recommend you go out there and see it. I'm going to give Men 3.5 stars. All right, guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.